we'll combine our last 2 points here because I think they go hand in hand. And that is, we already mentioned it. The offensive line played well again for the second straight week. And what can we do to avoid slow starts in the future? I think the answer is right that stick to the run and establish it more on second down. Michael LaFleur has done a lot of running on first down early in the year, and probably more so than anybody in the NFL. But on second down, they're really common to go play action, and they're really common to try and we'll run the wide zone on first down, and if it gains 4 yards, we'll run play action on second. And it's predictable. When the run is there, specifically early in the Titans game or in the Patriots games, where they had 2 first down runs. The first one went for 8 yards. The second one went for 13. And the next 2 plays after each of those runs were interceptions. Let's try and establish the run earlier and rely on it earlier. Because in the second half, you're right, Matt, they started running back to back. They started hitting the ground game, and Michael Carter was getting yards and breaking tackles like he seemed to do all year. I think that's step number 1 to getting this offense out of their funk.
Yeah, one thing this offensive line does is tell you what kind of game they're going to have on the ground very early. We saw them against New England, like you said, start off hot. And against Atlanta, they started off hot. They let us know pretty early that they will be able to command the line in the run game. And the fact that LaFleur didn't really notice this, or maybe he noticed it but thought he could get cute and play off of it some other way, I think he's just doing too much, and maybe that's a symptom of him being a young play caller, or maybe it's a bit of overconfidence. I don't know, but at the same, he needs to recognize this early and not at halftime when we're down 17-3 or 17-0. I forgot what the score was.
Yeah, I was not overly critical of LaFleur's play calling against Atlanta, but if there's one thing he did wrong, it was getting away from the ground game too early, right? Because in the first run play for the Jets, you could see they got the push, 5-yard game with Michael Carter. You could see they would dominate a line. And this drive after Tevin Coleman big return, the Jets play call the way I thought they would before the season. Jet motion, run on the jet, 8 yards, jet motion, fake jet motion, zone, 4 or 5 yards, and then another run with jet motion, like 4 runs in a row. The Jets score a touchdown with Ty Johnson. And I think LaFleur has to do it more. I feel like he has some pass plays scripted earlier in the game to get Wilson going after play action, and he feels like he has to use them, and he tries to abandon the run way too early because of that. And also, he's a pass-happy OC. That's clear to me right now. He likes to throw the football, and he needs to be more balanced. He needs to go now in the bye and look back and think, hey, I don't need to be that pass-happy right now. Our quarterbacks is struggling. Let's run the ball. When the O-line is dominating, they got to keep running the ball. If Wilson was rattled by the Panthers thinking, hey, I got to do too much because we cannot operate within the structure, maybe LaFleur also overreacted to the Panthers game and said, hey, we cannot trust this O-line to run the ball consistently, and I got to scheme up play actions and et cetera, et cetera. But right now, fact is the Jets O-line has got some push against the Patriots, push against the Broncos, against the Titans. They could run the ball. So take away the Panthers game, they have been league average for run blocking, and that's what they have to do more. They got to run the ball more.
Yeah, Vitor, you hit the nail on the head. Michael LaFleur, before now and this year with in San Francisco, there was basically 2 offensive coordinators under Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle Shanahan did a lot of the play calling himself, but there was other guys in the room that were involved, and the 2 guys were Mike LaFleur and Mike McDaniel. And Mike McDaniel was their run game coordinator, and Kyle Shanahan was their pass game coordinator. Mike McDaniel is now their full-time OC, and Mike LaFleur is now the OC with the Jets. But he is definitely more pass heavy than he is run heavy. And I think that he maybe is more schemed in pass concepts than he is necessarily in run. The offensive line is generating push in the run game because I think John Benton's a solid offensive line coach, but they are not so much sticking to it when it comes to play calling because Michael LaFleur, being the passing coach, thinks that he's going to call the run play once, that's going to distract the defense, and now the play action is going to work. Well, it's not always that simple, and you kind of need to make defenses fear the run before they're going to react to it as much. And if they don't fear it, then they can play a little more passive, keep their linebackers from shooting gaps, and the play action isn't going to be there. I think that's definitely a big part is LaFleur needs to not so much get a little more out of his comfort zone, establish the run early. And this is something I wanted to throw at you guys on air because I think this could be a wrinkle that they throw in, and I know it's in their playbook, so it's not something that they have to add. But I really want to see them, for better or worse, start utilizing Zach in the run game more. I really want to see them start calling some read options with him, especially and when you have the shotgun plays where it's condensed formations and the defense is just all tight. I think you can get some easy yards where he's going to sneak out the back door because they're going to key on Michael Carter in the read, and Zach's going to be able to get some easy plays out the back door. We saw it in Carolina. They ran it for the 2-point conversion, and Zach walked it in the end zone because the defensive end, I believe Ty Johnson was in the game, went right after Ty Johnson, and Zach just kept the ball and went right out to the corner. I think that can be a good way to kind of free up the defensive line, keep the ends open for your wide zone, keep the ends open for, your outside run plays or your jet motions, where if you can have the threat of Zach to hold the defensive end in place, that's going to help even more. And on top of that, I think you really have to factor in the RPO game. Let's get some glance routes going. Let's call that read option. Let's make the defensive end freeze. Let's make the linebacker have to come downhill to, fill, because that's usually how you stop read option is you scrape it. Let's get defensive scraping, and let's get the glance route going behind it to Elijah Moore or Denzel Mims. Let's make some big plays. I really think this can be an easy way to get Zach in rhythm. I think it's a good way to keep defenses honest. I think it could really, really help the offense early. I think this is a good way to get the offense going on early downs because it's going to be unpredictable for the defense. It's going to get them. I think it's going to be their spark. I really hope they bring it out.
See, this is something I would love to have seen, but I highly doubt we are going to see it because from what we've gathered from Saleh talking about him running, he's no Lamar Jackson. So I think they're terrified to use him as a runner right now because we don't have much of an option after him. If he goes down with an injury, we have nothing. We have Mike White. That's not a lot. So I really think they're trying to keep him as healthy as possible, and that's by not running him.
Yeah, I think they're scared to use him in the ground game too, but I feel like they could use him in some zone reads because Wilson is like he's low-key elusive, right? He can make people miss a lot easier than I thought he would in the pros. So maybe if your offense is needing a spark, you try to get a couple of zone reads a game so you can keep the edge honest, or you can try a little RPOs. They ran that RPO against Carolina. I broke it down on my Twitter, and Wilson got sacked, fumbled the football, and I honestly feel like they didn't run a single RPO after that, besides the RPO bubble where, it's just a much easier read, but like RPOs Lance or Glance, nothing after that. And maybe right now, maybe the time to just try to implement those again in your offense, right? Just a binary read for a quarterback. Trust that Wilson will make these reads. And they got to try more different things, man. And maybe zone read and RPO are it. Maybe those are a couple plays you can use in your first, second drives of the game. And honestly, they got to try more stuff.
And what do we got to do to get more in space? Like, I feel like more is being forgotten a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. We really need to get him into space more and manufacture some touches for him. I mean, we talked about it for months in the offseason, and I feel like we've talked about it since then in our season previews before, where let's get this guy the ball in space. And, Saleh was asked about that in his press conference. It was Kim Jones who asked him, and I think it was a really good question by her, where she had said exactly what we're asking. This guy's dynamic. He's able to make plays with the ball in his hand. We spent months in the offseasons, thinking of all the possibilities, and the coaches had mentioned all the possibilities of what he can do, and we really haven't seen it. And Saleh's answer was, in my opinion, honestly, not don't criticize Saleh often, but I think this is one where I can. It was a little weak where he was basically saying the offense didn't get into enough of a rhythm where they could get those plays, where they might have had them, but they didn't get as many plays on offense to run them. So run them earlier. So let's break them out when it's clear that your offense isn't working. When you've gone two straight, 3 and outs to start the game, let's go into our third drive and let's try something different. Let's get out of our script a little bit sooner. And I think that is the biggest key for Mike LaFleur, because honestly, I don't think Mike LaFleur, like you guys, is doing that bad of a job. I really think that early there were some issues. I think the Denver game had its issues from the entire team, but I really don't think that Mike LaFleur overall is the problem. I think there's problems from a bunch of different aspects, and number one is not utilizing players to their best ability, and that would be getting Elijah Moore the ball more. I completely agree.